Okay, Karen, you think we're ready?
Yes, I think we should do it.
All right.
Karen,
Yeah.
who controls the slides?
Me.
Michelle is controlling the slides.
All right, okay, all right, okay.
Just tell me when to click, Nick.
Well, I mean, I'm all the way to the end, but I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, welcome everyone to the 2020 annual business meeting of the American Society of Biomechanics, where we're going to not only have our business meeting, but we're also going to announce all the award winners and kind of combine what in the past at our meetings might have been the business meeting and the kind of closing ceremonies all together into this one event. We've got a busy agenda with a lot of different speakers, so we're going to jump right into it. So we'll start out actually with myself. My name is Michelle Sabic. I am the president for about one more hour of the American Society of Biomechanics. It has been a great year, and I wanted to just provide a very quick summary of some of the things that have happened and that we've been working on. If I had to come up with a metaphor for this year, it would be a roller coaster. And actually, I picked this particular image on purpose because it started immediately, right? I feel like last year in Calgary, I got past the gavel and I was kind of sitting at the top of that roller coaster, and just within hours, I kind of went on the downhill slide and started the roller coaster of emotions and other just actions that we had to do this year. So we had, as a result of some things that we learned that happened at the banquet, we had sort of a Me Too moment that we started to address, and it led to several months later, after a lot of work by a lot of people on the diversity committee and on the executive board, a joint statement with the International Society of Biomechanics, along with the American Society of Biomechanics and the organizing committee for the World Congress, addressing diversity issues and climate. And it led us to renewed effort. We had already been working on a code of conduct, but it made it very, very clear that that needed to get done. And we made a goal to get it done before this year's meeting, which we did, thankfully, thanks to the Herculean efforts of the diversity committee led by Robin Queen. The rest of the year didn't get any better. It kind of looked like this, right? It's been all over the place. But in the midst of all the chaos we've had, in our lives, I think actually the American Society of Biomechanics has kept moving and has moved forward in a way that I think is really impressive. So you'll hear more about some of these details later as the individuals who have completed these projects have their chance to speak, but we've debuted student chapters of the American Society of Biomechanics, which is a brand new initiative, and I think it's pretty exciting. We've piloted a new executive board position of awards chair, which I think went amazingly this year, and we'll be working towards formalizing that position. We had Brian and Wendy before him had been working on developing a strategic plan, and we now have that approved, and we're working on an implementation plan that will take us into the next several years of the Society's existence. And it's important because we want to maintain all the good aspects of the American Society of Biomechanics that we love while allowing ourselves to grow and diversify. And just a few weeks ago, we had our statement on systemic racism, which again was a team effort with a lot of people on the diversity committee, the executive board, and others. And as a result of that, we really have a commitment to action on the part of the Society for Diversity. And I think we saw some great examples of that at the conference this year. And finally, last but not least, we made the pivot to the virtual meeting this year. And again, you'll hear more from the program chair and meeting chair, but this was an amazing amount of effort to make this conversion. And I think it went off incredibly smoothly, and there was some great interactions, and I heard a lot of positive feedback from people. So while it was difficult at the time we had to make those decisions, I think it has worked out amazingly well. So in short, the American Society of Biomechanics is continuing to grow and thrive, and it has been my pleasure to serve all of you to provide the little bit of help that I could to keep the society moving in the right direction. And with that, I am going to turn it over. I have one more kind of less happy announcement that just came to me last week. So one of our founding members, Al Schultz, who was a longtime faculty member at the University of Michigan, passed away in late July. He was a very prolific and influential researcher, and in academic terms, he was the father of 4 ASB presidents and countless other biomechanists. And I just wanted to mention this for those that hadn't heard, and also let everybody know that there are plans in the works to do something to honor Dr. Schultz, probably at our meeting next year. So stay tuned for that. So with that, I'm now going to turn the microphone over to our past president, Brian Umberger.
Thanks, Michelle. One of the joys of being past president is you get to oversee the process that leads to election of new fellows and board members and the like. And so with that, I would like to introduce to you, if you've not already seen this in our email and newsletter announcements, the 2020 class of ASB Fellows, which consists of Wendy Murray, Stacy Ringleb, and Kristen Zhao. I'd like to once again congratulate this amazing group of scholars and congratulate them on this recognition for their major contributions to ASB and to the broader field of biomechanics. Next slide, please. I'd also like to introduce to you the new executive board members of the American Society of Biomechanics. President-elect Liz Shaw-Wexler, Program Chair-elect Jason Franz, Diversity Chair Ajit Chaudhary, and our new student representative Emily Dooley. Congratulations to all of them, and I know we really look forward to their continued leadership of the Society. Next slide. There is only one committee of the Society that is elected by the broader membership, and that is the nominating committee. And they work very closely with the past president to identify who will be the future leaders of the Society. So it's a really important role. And our newly elected members of the nominating committee are Julia Choi and Erica Nelson Wong. So congratulations to them. Next slide. Final comments I have are about the strategic plan. As you all know, and as Michelle mentioned, it was approved by a vote of the membership earlier this year. A tremendous amount of effort went into it. The level of engagement by the Society was absolutely amazing. I think it speaks to one of the things that makes ASB so special. For anyone who wants to see it at any time, it's available on the ASB website. A number of the items in there might map onto specific executive board positions, but in order to achieve these goals, there's a great opportunity for a broader involvement by members who are interested and are passionate about specific elements of this. And so in addition to just generally being interested in getting more involved with ASB, if there's elements of the strategic plan that you would really like to see happen, the best way to let the leadership of ASB know about this is through the membership database, where there is a place where you can indicate your interest in being involved with ASB, as well as what type of activities like you would like to get interested in. And this is the same place you go to renew or pay your dues, etc. I want to just close this out by thanking all the many people who contributed to developing this commonly held set of goals for the future of the Society. And Michelle had mentioned really pivoting and transitioning to implementation. And a key part of that is going to be tracking. And so there is a process now in place that will be led by the past president and handed on from person to person, by which we can track who is working on specific elements of the strategic plan, where they are in the process, identify elements that maybe have not had much attention yet. And the plan is to provide annual updates to the membership. Details to be determined whether that will be at the annual meeting or perhaps in the newsletter. And just in closing, Michelle had already mentioned this, but among all the people who really contributed and helped make this happen, a special shout out to Wendy Murray, because it was really her contribution that got this started and really got the momentum going with it. So big thanks and thumbs up to Wendy. And just as I fade off into the sunset here, just state what an incredible career highlight and honor it's been to be able to serve the society in this way, a group that means so much to me, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity. So thank you, everyone. That's all, Michelle.
So you're not getting away quite that easily, Brian, but thank you. Brian has been a steadying force on the board for 3 years now. So for those of you that don't know, when you commit to when you're elected as president, you become president-elect for a year, and then president for a year, and past president for a year. So it's been a 3-year journey or saga, maybe depending how you think about it. During that time, you've heard about some of the things that Brian has been working on, and he's had tireless amount of effort to get the strategic plan off the ground, to get it vetted by lots and lots of people, and to work towards the implementation, which is obviously really important. He carried the water on developing the plan for an awards chair position. And as I mentioned before, that's been an amazing addition. And I think we're very thankful that he has done that. And he's always had great insight and wisdom, and just been an excellent contributor as the society wrestled with lots of important decisions this year and kind of complicated negotiations. And so he very much deserves this opportunity to rotate off the board, but I want Brian to know, and I would like all of you to please thank him for his service and let him know that he will be sorely missed, even though he absolutely deserves the opportunity to get some time away. So thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Michelle. I assume I'm supposed to take a picture of the certificate, given the
plaque is in the mail, literally.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you to everyone else.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Missy Morrow to give the awards chair report.
Thanks, Michelle, and thanks, Brian. It's been a pleasure to pilot out this new awards chair position. For those that don't know, the past president usually played this role in terms of managing all the awards for the annual meeting. And I just want to start by thanking Brian Umberger, who, while being past president, didn't play this role. He was with me at every step, making sure I didn't screw anything up. And then I want to also thank Wendy Murray, who left an amazing track record to follow for me to get on board this year with this work. So overall, we awarded 50 awards, and the majority went to students. So it shows the wonderful dedication our society has to student involvement and student recognition. But I will run through all of the awards that have been announced previously, and at the end we'll get to the new award winners. So we'll start with our most prestigious award, the Borelli Award, which was given to Steve Messier from Wake Forest University this year, and it really recognizes his outstanding career accomplishments over his full career and his exemplary research in primarily knee osteoarthritis research. So congratulations, Steve, and we look forward to your Borelli talk next year in 2020. Next slide. Our Jim Hay Memorial Award is in honor of Jim Hay and recognizes originality, quality, and the depth of biomechanics research that address fundamental research questions relevant to the extraordinary demands imposed in sport and exercise. And this year, the award winner was Van Den Bogart from Cleveland State University, and he had a wonderful Hay session this week. Congratulations, Tan. Next slide. Our Goyle Award for Translational Research in Biomechanics goes to Shoria Attar at the University of Michigan, and this recognizes the outstanding accomplishments in translational biomechanics research, entrepreneurship, and societal benefit, and is in honor of Vijay Goyle. Next slide. Our Founders Award went to Tammy Reed Bush from Michigan State University, recognizing her scientific accomplishments in biomechanics and excellence in mentorship. Next slide. The Jean Landa Pytel Award for Diversity, Mentorship, and Biomechanics went to Jill McNitt Gray, and this was the inaugural year for awarding an individual this award. And it recognizes the long-term impact that Jill has had on mentoring on both the careers of individual scientists, including women and individuals from traditionally underrepresented backgrounds. Congratulations, Jill. Next slide. Our Young Scientists Awards, we had 2 great awardees this year. Our pre-doctoral award winner was Joshua Leonardis from the University of Michigan. And our postdoctoral award was Eni Halilai from Stanford University. And these awards recognize their early achievements during their PhD for the predoctoral award, and then within their postdoctoral period for the postdoc award. Congratulations to you both. Next slide. The Junior Faculty Research Award is a program that supports early career ASB regular members to pursue biomechanics research. And this year, the award went to Michael Harris from Washington University in St. Louis. And the title of his project is The Biomechanical Consequences of Femoral Version Deformity and Surgical Correction in Patients with Hip Dysplasia. Congratulations, Michael. Next slide. We also award a research travel grant, and this is used to foster collaboration between ASB members and to offset those costs of travel. So we're hopeful that these costs will be able to use towards actual travel by Jessica Allen at West Virginia University. Congratulations, Jessica. Next slide. ASB Travel Awards. So this is a combination of student travel awards and the diversity travel awards, and we awarded over 26 awards this year. Now we know that no one got to travel to the meeting, but we were able to provide some token of award to all of these wonderful students, postdocs, and faculty members that received these awards. And we'll just step through these slides. Next slide. And next slide. Congratulations to our travel award winners. We hope to be able to do it in person next year. There's something a little new this year, came to us from the Council of Fellows. So that is Joni Bechtold, Mary Rogers, and Dawn Anderson came forward with the idea to have a special recognition given to one of the travel award winners in honor of an incredible fellow that we'd like to highlight this year, Bob Greger. He put incredible effort into organizing the fellows, and we make this special recognition in his honor. And the winner of that is Kristen Jakubowski from Northwestern University. And the title of her work was Muscle Stiffness Exceeds Tendon Stiffness at Physiologically Relevant Levels of Muscle Activation. And we have future plans of integrating a fellows recognition at future ASBs. So congratulations, Kristen. Next slide. So for this first part, I want to thank all of these awards committee members who had a huge role in picking the winners. As awards chair, I just manage the committee. I don't have a vote, and these are all the wonderful ASB members that stepped up and did a lot of the work to choose this amazing class of 2020 award winners. So next slide, we'll move on to the winners that you don't know. And so the 3-minute thesis competition, on the left, you'll see the extensive list of amazing ASB members who are judges for the award. And if you'll click next, we will see the award winners come up with our organizers, Andy Carduna and Jenny Liesma. Thank you so much for your work for this award, and I'll step through these winners. So the PhD winner was Kay Song. The PhD honorable mention was Megan Mancuso. The PhD People's Choice was Yannicka Schwanner. The Master's winner is Talayla Johnson. The Master's honorable mention went to Lindsay Llewellyn. And the Master's People's Choice went to Jared Lee. Congratulations to you all, and I'll be in touch so you can find out what you've won. Next slide. The Clinical Biomechanics winner goes to Nicholas Creeder. Congratulations to you and your colleagues at the University of Utah for your work entitled Preparations for Expected Underfoot Perturbations in Health and Concussed Individuals. Congratulations to all the co-authors, and this work will have an opportunity to be published in the Clinical Biomechanics Journal, and I'll be in touch for that. And next we will find out the Journal Biomechanics winner. Congratulations to Katie Knaus and Sylvia Blumker for their work titled 3D Model of soleus reveals complex muscle fascicle and aponeurosis deformations during passive stretch. Congratulations, Katie and Sylvia from the University of Virginia. And finally, the last award is the President's Award, which was chosen from all of the posters by our president, Michelle Sabick. It was given to Castano Caesar and Helen Huang from poster number 578, entitled Self-Paced Treadmill Controllers Influence Gait Variability, but Not Average Walking Speed. So I just want to thank everyone for their participation in the awards program, and thank and congratulate all of our winners. It was an outstanding year for science, and this, I think this is one of the best ways that we celebrate it. Congratulations. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay. Thank you, Missy. Now we will move on to our treasurer report by Jill Higginson.
Thank you, Michelle. And so I'm pleased to present some of the business relevant to the society. I wanted to acknowledge the efforts of Tammy Bush and helping her in my transition to this role in the past year and answering endless numbers of questions. Here you can see sort of a quick synopsis of the net worth of our society. We've seen an uptick in the general checking account, in large part due to the proceeds from last year's ISB meeting. National Biomechanics Day is now an independent entity, so I no longer maintain those accounts. And our long-term investments, sort of due to the financial issues in the country, have taken a little bit of a hit, but it's already starting to come back, so there's really nothing to be concerned about there. Next slide, Michelle. In general, the income of the society is due in large part to the memberships. The journal orders are considered a pass-through, you know, the funds come in and I go and pay the bills. And we've seen a slight number of donations this year too. Our expenses are really mostly include service fees related to maintaining the society, maintaining the webpage, keeping security of our accounts, things like that. Next slide. The best part of this job is giving the awards. And so as you've just seen, there are lots of those to be awarded this year. You can see how these funds are being distributed. The first 4 have already been paid. The last set, the check is in the mail. And so these will be deducted and haven't hit our accounts yet. But, this has been a pleasure to be able to be part of that process. So in summary, you can see that the financial health of the society is excellent. We do continue to receive donations to support our awards. There's always room for improvement there. In general, you can see that we provide more than $40,000 back to members in our awards. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jill. And next we'll turn it over to Kate Saul for the membership chair secretary report.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying the meeting. I certainly am. Give you a brief summary of where the membership of the society stands. As you know, the membership portal has moved to a new location over the last few years, and we continue to develop that database. As Brian mentioned, there is a volunteer portal there now, so I hope that you'll all go and sign up for what you're interested in, and then we use those records to help generate lists of people that can be considered for nominations or for committee membership roles. And then we also use that to help document all of the contributions that people do throughout the year through their committee work, so that we can continue to grow the participation across the society. We're also using that to better document our historical records, including executive board membership and fellows and all of that, so that we have a stable record going forward, especially as the volunteer board turns over every so often. We're improving our records through, hold on just a second.
Sorry,
Michelle, it's okay. Through annual census dates and recording the membership breakdown more rigorously in the society records, and also making the demographic information better available to the membership. We've always reported that in the newsletter throughout the year, but now you'll notice it's also on the website so that it can be accessed throughout the year. Our membership has been stable over the last few years, with about 60% of our members as regular members, and then the balance is student members. Next slide. We're also pretty stable in all of our other breakdowns according to our disciplines and that are selected. You may recall as you go into your portal that you can select a primary discipline as well as other affiliated disciplines. And so these are only the primary discipline shown here. Next slide. As have been discussed several times this year, both in our statement on systemic racism and on the website in the newsletter and at the excellent diversity event yesterday. Our demographics, as shown here, do not reflect the demographics of the United States. And we are continuing our efforts to improve the diversity and inclusion of the membership of the society. Part of the strategic plan is has a goal of that work, and I look forward to working with all of the members of the executive board and the membership that are working on those initiatives, as well as with the diversity committee, but very open to hearing from the membership as we did in the diversity event, very interested in that excellent conversation about what else we can do to broaden participation in our society. And I think that that is my last slide. So I look forward to talking with the membership and have enjoyed seeing you at this meeting. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Kate. All right, now we'll turn it over to Louis DiBerardino to give us an education chair report.
Thanks, Michelle. So great. If you noticed a few slides ago in Jill's report, the two biggest awards, at least in monetary value that we hand out, were the regional meetings and the Grant and Aid Awards. And I have the pleasure of overseeing both of those as the education chair. So I'd at least like to give a little update on those. Regional meetings, that's a big focus for us. It allows us to provide opportunities for more student participation at the meetings. And so make sure you are checking the ASB website this fall to see where perhaps some of the postponed 2020 meetings, when those will be held, and for any new 2021 meetings that would come up in the usually early to mid-spring next year. And you can apply to host one. We provide up to $2,000 in support through the ASB. It's a pretty easy process, and we really like giving out money for these regional meetings. So again, that's all on our website. Next slide, please. And graduate student grant, oops, actually go back a slide, sorry. I forgot the most important part. Applications are due on September 30th. So that's coming up pretty quick. And you can email those to me. My information's on the website. All right, next slide again, thanks. Okay, graduate student grant and aid awards. Those applications are due January 15th. Our purpose is to support ASB student members pursuing biomechanics research, can be master's or PhD level. They can be used for things like small equipment, materials, supplies, participant costs, some consulting. We usually award about 3 to 5 $2,000 grants. We awarded 5 this year. Before I get to those winners, the most important part, if you're thinking about applying, make sure you renew your membership early and have your advisor renew their membership early. That is important. Okay, great. So this year, we had about 27 applicants, and I'm happy to announce that the winners, as listed here, are Sydney Bowden-Distel from University of Florida, Hillary Holmes, Auburn, Kristen Jakubowski, Northwestern, Konstantin Nikolazakis, Northwestern, and Sumair Sato, Massachusetts. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Louis. All right, we'll move on to the diversity chair report by Robin Queen, or at least starting with Robin Queen.
So first of all, I just want to say that I'm incredibly honored and grateful to have been able to serve as the diversity chair for the last few years. I'm just going to highlight a few of the things, some of which Michelle already mentioned that we have worked on over the last year, and then we'll let this serve as the initial transition from my time over to Ajit as he talks about the 2021 goals. So in 2020, one of the goals that I had was to expand the diversity committee and to engage with some of the student members. Up until this point, the diversity committee really hasn't had a student voice. And so we added 2 student members, one who was serving in a specific role as a liaison to the local program and hosting committees in Atlanta to help with the diversity outreach event planning, which hopefully we will get to use some of that work in a future meeting. And then the other one was through an application process. So please do go on to the membership portal, as has been mentioned. And if you have an interest in volunteering for any of the committees, please make that known, because that's how we started the process of adding to our committee. The other kind of major hurdle for this year that we were really committed to was the development of the ASB Code of Conduct. That was drafted and then ultimately approved after a public comment period by the membership, by the executive board, and is now we're in the process of being added to the website so that you'll be able to access that code of conduct and the policies and procedures that go along with that. We also, as Michelle mentioned, worked very closely with the executive board on the racism statement. We awarded 8 travel grants this year. Please do consider applying for those in future years. That is funded traditionally off of some awarding from the NIH through an R13 mechanism, and then also supported by the board itself. So please do consider applying for those for future meetings. We hosted a wonderful event last night. My best count, at some point, we had roughly 160 people at that event, where we were talking a lot about addressing systemic barriers in STEM and science, technology, engineering, and math, both in the academy and then more broadly. Look in your emails, even if you did not attend the event, we're going to send this out more broadly, for the recording of at least the main room conversations that were had during that event, and some follow-up discussions on some of the action items that came out of those discussions from last night. So with that, thank you all again for the opportunity to serve in this role. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with the committee and with the board over these last few years. And with that, I will transition over to Ajit for him to tell you about the wonderful things he's going to do starting whenever he's ready for 2021 and beyond.
Thanks, Robin, and thanks for your leadership and the diversity committee for the last 3 years. So, you know, one of the things that really strongly came out in our meeting last night was that people want action. And, you know, Michelle mentioned it in her president's report, and we're committed to that. And so there were a lot of ideas that came out last night. I haven't even looked through all the working documents we had going, but I'm sure there are more good ideas there, and people will keep coming up with ideas. So we want, I'm jumping to the second point here, we want to continue those discussions. We want to come up with meaningful actions. And that's not just actions here within ASB itself, but also actions or things that people can take to their institutions. We can have a much broader impact if we all take back what we've learned and ideas for how to improve the environment broadly when we go back to where we are our homes. We in the past have had a diversity outreach event. Obviously we couldn't have that this year, even though there was a lot of planning that happened for it. And we are assuming we have an in-person meeting. We will definitely have a diversity outreach event for the 20,201 meeting, or perhaps 2021 meeting. And there have already been lots of ideas coming in about ways we can make outreach become more year-round, maybe other events, virtual events. Clearly with this meeting, we've seen that we can do a lot of things virtually that maybe we didn't even imagine. So, so I'm looking forward to continuing those discussions. And another thing that we talked about last night was that the more things that we feel like we want to do or need to do, the more people we need to actually do them. So I would like to expand the diversity committee. And I've already gotten emails, Twitter direct messages, Slack messages, Zoom chat messages of people saying they're interested in getting involved, and that's great. And so keep those coming. You can do it again in the membership portal, the volunteer portal within the membership site. You can send me an email. You can direct message me on Twitter. We are setting up a Slack channel for diversity ideas, and that's going to probably be separate from the ASB 2021. But however it is, we're going to email it out so that people can keep those conversations going. And there, of course, people can say you want to be more involved with the diversity committee. Another idea we have that we're going to be talking a lot about and thinking about how we do well is if we value diversity, we should have a word that's related to diversity. And so we're going to think about how to do that well. And then the last thing that we want to do is, at least in this first initial list, right, is to expand the Diversity Travel Award program to continue engaging people who maybe otherwise can't come and experience the meeting and all the networking that comes with it. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So as you all can see, the diversity committee is in good hands and it's going to continue its great efforts, but I'd be remiss if we let Robin skate away without making sure that she is recognized. She also will be receiving a plaque in the mail, but you know, those of you that have worked with Robin and know her know she's just a tireless advocate for diversity and inclusion, and she works so hard. And I think we can already see her fingerprints over the society and the various diversity and inclusion events that her group have worked on and developed over the last 3 years. So Robin, thank you so much for your service. We hope you enjoy your time away from the board, but we hope you will stay vigorously engaged in these types of activities going forward. Thank you. Okay, and with that, we will turn it over for a conference chair report from Young-Hee Chang.
Thanks, Michelle. I'd like to first stay on this slide for a little while. I'm going to make a couple of quick announcements. Even though the meeting will draw to an official close after this meeting, there are still going to be socials going on this afternoon. So both in Spatial Chat and on Zoom. So be sure to check that out. One last chance to say goodbye to folks. AMTI Spatial Lounge is going to have Black Biomechanics Affinity Group. Early career faculty will be in the AMT Spatial Lounge as well. You can use any of the lounges really are open as well. I'm sorry, Black Biomechanics is going to be on Zoom, and there's a password available, capital B Black, capital B Biome, to get in. So please join. American Baseball Biomechanics Society is also going to have an interest group. You should have pre-registered for that though, and you should be able to get onto that. So a couple of other announcements. We have our winners for the photo challenge. The top 4 scorers were put into a hat and randomly drawn to decide who gets first, second, and third. Selena Cho won first place, and she gets an $80 Amazon gift card. Second place was Laura Healy, a $60 gift card. And a tie for third, Margot Donlin and Chun Hao Huang got each $30 gift cards. So congratulations, thanks for playing. Really quickly, I wanted to throw some thoughts in here for everybody. I think the conference has gone, knock on wood, very well so far, better than many of us had expected. There were a lot of fears, I think, that people would be burnt out of Zooming and virtual online stuff. But I really enjoyed the few times I've been able to get on and you know, take part in the science part. I think it was a nice way to get away from the craziness of 2020 for a little bit. So I really appreciated that. And I thank you all for making that happen. There were a few technical glitches, which are to be expected. Every time it happened, I thought about waiting in line at the airport. I thought about being at the hotel. I thought about projectors not working and people blocking my view. And, you know, I think it actually worked out fairly well. So again, kudos to everybody that helped out with that, which I'll get to in a second. I think there were a lot of lessons learned, many of which we're going to take forward to future years. There will be a conference survey coming out very soon to all of you. I encourage you to fill it out, probably more than even past years. It's always important, but even more than usual, I think this will be an important one for us to know what works, what doesn't work, what should we keep, because I think future conferences may be forever changed by this year. So, and hopefully in a good way. As Ajit mentioned, we might have the capacity to reach many more people than we typically might have. So keep an eye out for the conference survey. Another note, Karen may bring this up, but Crowd Compass will be up for a while after today. So if you missed talk, you can go back and watch the recording. They should be up on Crowd Compass. The posters, I believe, will be up depending on each presenter. And the Slack, I believe, should be running as well. So again, you can enjoy and catch up on things that you missed. Okay, so finally this slide. Thanks very much to the committee that I worked with for the last two and a half years at Georgia Tech. Lena, Greg, Owen, Aaron, Boris. We met regularly since, as I mentioned before, 2018. And we had all these great plans. We got an R13 to do some cool stuff with the Olympics, and all that just really had to be put aside to plan for this stuff. So hopefully those will not be gone to waste, but for this meeting anyway, that work was appreciated, even though we didn't get to see the fruits of much of that labor. Special thanks to a couple of our student helpers. Jenny Liesma basically ran the Georgia Tech website that most people navigated to, the first place you stopped, I guess, for conference information, and a really big help there. Thank you, Jenny. Chase Rock designed all the logos that you saw, so really cool artwork there, and really appreciate his help. There were a bunch of students that helped out with the help desk for people who had trouble getting on. Christy, Paul, Dawit, Sam, Ben, Jonathan, Lindsay, and also a couple of admins from Georgia Tech that helped us, Paula Ewers and Shirley Taylor, big help. And finally, I'd like to really, again, thank Karen, Troy, and the program committee. They typically, if you're on the program committee, you help on the front end with all the scientific content, scheduling, figuring out who's gonna do what session. And then by the time the conference comes around, most of your work is done. And this was not the case this year. They really pulled more than their fair share of weight. All the Zoom, Slack programming was done by the program committee, and it was a Herculean task, and I really appreciate them stepping up. Okay, finally, next slide, please. We have really surpassed our previous numbers in a good way. These are actually old. These numbers were from 2 days ago. The registrations as of today are 1,226 total. That includes sponsors who were also registered as attendees. The attendees, the way we normally think of them, are now at 1,174. And we had 343 members, 190 non-members, 405 student members, 236 student non-members. 17 conference sponsors really stepped up. Many of them agreed to sponsor before they even knew what a virtual conference was going to be. So I really appreciate them stepping up, supporting the society. 4 of them also agreed to do the spatial chat as a sponsor. Delsys, Qualisys, AMTI, and National Biomechanics Day, I think, that really added a nice flavor to our conference. Next slide, please. And these are some of the demographics that I mentioned already. One thing that I really liked seeing, we had a representation from 23 different countries. Most of, obviously, the USA was well represented, but we had good representation from Asia, Canada, and Europe as well. I didn't break that down into countries, but again, really nice to see. And I think this kind of points to maybe where our society might be headed in the future. If we have more online content, we definitely reach a larger audience and have our members' research reach a larger audience. So I think that's about it. The numbers have changed a little, but the percentages basically haven't. So I think those are roughly accurate. And I think I will stop there and pass it on to my partner in crime, Karen.
In a moment. So I just want to recognize you, Young Hee. I know you had a big committee of people that all helped, and I'm glad we got to thank them as well. But I wanted to kind of mention here, not only that you've spent 2.5 years planning a meeting that we didn't even get to run, but that you helped plan the next meeting, right? And I know we're going to talk a little bit later about future meetings, but I just wanted to, recognize you in front of the whole society for the great amount of effort you did. You kept things going and actually arranged what would have been an amazing in-person meeting in Atlanta. I hope we get to reuse that effort here soon. But thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we will move on to Karen Troy and the program chair report.
Okay, I think you can flip it forward for me, please. All right, fantastic. So I want to start by thanking my amazing program committee and also the Atlanta crew. Young Hee, working with them was fantastic. This program committee was amazing. As you can see, we were not a very big group. So all of the programming that you saw here was basically curated and by this group and organized by this group, but created by you guys. So I really want to thank the membership for the symposiums that you organized, for the fantastic abstracts, for all of the award talks. I think it was a really great program, and that was because of the collective effort of every member of the society. And then I do want to put in a special thank for Rumit Singh, who stepped in at the very last minute once we decided that we desperately needed some help actually getting our program online. He wasn't an active member of the program committee for most of the year, but then he was willing to jump in when we called for volunteers and spent a lot of hours making sure that we could actually find everything on CrowdCompass. So thank you for stepping in and helping out. Next slide, please. Okay, so I thought I would just summarize some numbers because they're always fun. So to start out, we started out with 909 abstract submissions, and we went through a fairly typical abstract review process and broke them down. So we did have, I think it ends up being about 8% of the abstracts were rejected. All of the abstracts were reviewed by, I think, about 3 reviewers, and there were 236 of you members who stepped up to review abstracts. So a big thank you to all of our abstract reviewers. Once we decided to pivot to a virtual conference, we didn't really know what that looked like. And none of us had been to a virtual conference, so we just made it up. And hopefully you liked what you saw. Anyway, we ended up with 145 podium presentations, 619 posters, which are still ongoing today. So please make sure you get a chance to stop by the Slack discussions that are designated for today. We had 3 organized symposia that went forward. There were 4 additional symposia that we had originally accepted, and those authors opted not to present this year and have opted instead to consider inviting back their symposia for next year. As you know, we had 3 award sessions. We had 1 great keynote. 43, I think actually we added some additional Slack discussion channels, so now we're at 46 Slack discussion channels. And in total, we've had more than 40 hours of live and synchronous programming. These are all being recorded with a couple of exceptions. And if you click on the recorded past sessions button, you should find that most of them are up. I do want to put out a special thanks to Tarang Jang, TJ, who has been helping with getting those recordings put up. And also a note that I think today's sessions probably will make it up by Monday. So just because our conference ends today, recognize that we have not necessarily ended today, and that's okay. And then of course we've had more than 10 hours worth of networking, affinity, research interest group meetings, and some other events. I did want to give you a quick note. Actually go back 1 slide just for a second, I'm not quite ready. By posters, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. I was going to give you one more fun stat. The most active channel for posters so far, this is as of this morning, was the Balance and Falls general discussion on Wednesday. That Slack channel had 377 members that posted a total of 6,223 messages. So the poster discussions have been variable, but there's an example of how active a discussion could be. All right, move forward, please. So this is just a quick topic breakdown of the posters and the topic areas. I grouped together some of the subtopics, like orthopedics actually had some subdivisions, but you can see where the areas of interest of our society have been generally falling. And these are self-identified categories that people opted to put their posters into. So certainly large ones include locomotion, orthopedics, but we certainly have growing areas of interest in prosthetics, orthotics, robotics, measurement, validation, and worn sensors. And there's still active areas in many of these other categories. So one of the things that we tried to do this year was be very inclusive with our abstract and our presentations. So we hope everybody who's doing research in every area that touches biomechanics felt like they could find a home within the program this year. All right, I think that might be all I have.
It is.
Oh, excellent.
So we also need to thank Karen. You've already heard from several people about the amazing amount of work that she and her committee did to make this pivot. I wanted to add a little additional context. And on top of all of that, she was trying to have a sabbatical this year, right? And so it was a complicated transition. I think she and her committee pulled it off amazingly well. They just dug in and did it. There, you know, it was amazing how quickly they all pivoted. And so Karen, I hope you enjoy your time away as you rotate off the board, but thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll hand it over to Andrew Vygotsky for the Student Representatives Report.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. So this year we had several events like we did in the normal conference, but we were able to adapt them virtually. So our mentorship program was extremely successful. We had over 130 mentor-mentees matches this year. We were still able to do the student night out, namely thanks to Katie Knaus and Emily Dooley. They put on a spectacular event, which I'll speak more to in a few minutes. There's also an academic roundtable and, in addition, a non-academic roundtable to provide more focus on people who are interested in industry opportunities. And Anna Ebrahimi and Jen Zeller also put on a postdoc to professorship. So again, putting more emphasis on people who were interested in different opportunities. So there wasn't as large a focus on postdocs in the past. So I think this really helped shift gears as far as that went. Next slide. So I'm very happy to announce that Emily Dooley will be the next student representative. So she's at University of Virginia. She's been a huge help over the past couple of years, putting together the student mentor-mentee event and planning some of the other events this past year. So I think she's going to do a wonderful job, and especially considering how great a job she did this year. I think the student membership is in good hands. Next slide.
All right. I want to thank.
Oh, actually, back up 1 minute. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
So the event, the student night out event that she helped put on this year with Katie Knaus, I didn't even have time to put this into the slides because I just got the results, but there's a trivia event where the students competed against one another in small teams. This is sponsored by National Biomechanics Day, and we now have the winners. So the first place team is Team Forced, and I apologize for mispronunciations, with Adam Luftglass, Taylor Trentedway, and Abdurrahman Watas. And the second place team is a step ahead of the rest with Jenny Liestma, Rachel Hybert, Dean Molinaro, Kristen Jakubowski, Rachel Teeter, and Molly Shepard. So if you were on those teams, we'll be in touch and you'll be able to claim your prizes. And I just want to say first, it was a pleasure to serve the society in this role. And I really hope that our efforts, in addition to the ASB student chapters, which Dooley is going to help push forward, will really make a difference in the student experience.
and I want to thank Andrew. I think that the role of student rep is maybe it's a little bit fraught, right? You come onto a group with usually a bunch of people that are, you know, in faculty roles or similar, and the student reps have been amazing at representing the student interests and doing so fearlessly. So we appreciate Andrew's service for the last couple of years. We look forward to welcoming Emily, but thank you so much, Andrew, for the service that you provided for the last 3 years.
Thanks so much.
There's your last slide, sorry.
Okay, that makes sense because I was planning to. Okay, well, thank you to everybody who's been involved, including these members of the student committee, in addition to the mentors who have helped over the past couple of years, and those who have served on the panels to help provide guidance to the students. It really improves the student experience within the society, and I think it's what makes the society so great in general.
Okay, and with that, I am going to stop screen sharing for a moment because the next event is what's called the passing of the gavel. And so officially, the American Society of Biomechanics, actually, the presidential line actually has a gavel, and we physically pass it to one another as we rotate through the presidential line. So I wanted to be able to show that normally I would hand this to our next president, Nick Sturgio. I have it here, and I will be mailing it to him, I guess, in Omaha when he's there and able to receive it. So in the meantime, I'll go back to my slides. If I can find my window. Sorry for the technical glitch. Okay, so hopefully you're back to seeing my slides again. Okay, so officially, I will give you a little background on our incoming president, Nick Sturgio. So Nick has a lot of experience on the executive board. He's been a meeting chair and he's been an education chair. He's a fellow of the American Society of Biomechanics, so he's a very established researcher. You can see he has a variety of titles at his home institution, which is the University of Nebraska at Omaha. So it is my great pleasure to be able to introduce your new president for 2020 to 2021, Nick Sturgio. Congratulations, Nick.
Thank you, Michelle. I got the gravel somehow. It is a different one. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one from Hobby Lobby.
Okay, with that,
okay,
Nick is going to give us a set of remarks. So Nick, I'm going to start your first slide.
Yes, please. So I want to thank a significant amount of people for bringing us to this point. In my first year in the executive board, I found out that we have amazing people in the executive board. And especially Michelle and Brian, they're tremendous, actually. Brian, in his attention to detail, is superb, and Michelle also is like calm and steady. I mean, they are like incredible people, and I'm just so happy that we are having Michelle as a past president, and many of the people actually in the executive board are continuing actually this year. So we have a stellar group of people in the executive board. Now, what was truly amazing the last few months is the work that Karen Troy, Yang He, and everybody with them put together in terms of organizing this virtual meeting. And you guys are amazing. I mean, amazing. I mean, they took like something completely new and they put it up. They had to improvise a new program that was based on Olympics. Olympics didn't happen. I mean, it was just amazing stuff happened this year. And you know, other societies and other units actually, they canceled the meetings. I mean, so congratulations to everybody who attended. 1,200 people, my goodness, okay? I mean, this is truly amazing. So congratulations to all of you that you participated. And of course, like for organizing this virtual meeting, because I said like many other societies, they have canceled their meetings. I want to congratulate everybody that participated and everybody that was involved in putting this meeting together, and especially Karen Yang He. It's interesting actually to notice that almost 300 people are attending the business meeting right now, and that's I don't think I've ever seen 300 people in a business meeting in the past before. The other thing also that I want to give a shout out is I want to give a shout out to upcoming virtual regional meetings. We're supporting at least 2 of them, one in September, one in October. So please attend those meetings. As far as I know, they're free. All you need to register and attend, listen, participate. They need you. It's a new experience, and the more that they see, actually, the more participation they see, the more people seeing being engaged is, it's really important. Now, as Michelle mentioned, I have a lot of experience, and I've been, I'm already a fellow, and as being your new president, I've been in the past a meeting chair and education chair, and I think like at this point, actually my experience could help because we are living like really interesting times. At the same time, I consider the American Center of Biomechanics my home, so I'm extremely proud to be your president. I have several initiatives that I would like to put forward. I would like us to grow more our student chapters. I want us actually to look into putting forward some type of credentials for a BS in biomechanics that can be utilized around the world. Looking into maybe developing a certificate for someone to get to become a biomechanist that actually even allow the society to make some more money, working more closely with other societies, further developing the mentor and mentee program for the entire society, helping younger professors actually through the society using the fellows to grow and be more successful. I also want us to look into our newsletter format and change it slightly to increase our dissemination efforts. I want us to work more closely with the National Biomechanics Day. So I have several initiatives. Now, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So just like few things that I do want to mention regarding our future plans. With respect to the Atlanta 2020 meeting cancellations, you can see up there the important days that happened just recently in terms of the changes. Yang He was instrumental in terms of informing the venues and working with the venues to cancel the contracts. And we're still having negotiations ongoing with the venues as we went virtual. I want us actually to, I want you to see how fast Karen and Yang He and their teams turned this around. June 1st, it was decided to go virtual. And we have the meeting practically like 2 months later. Next slide, please. Now, with respect to 2021 and beyond, our plans are next year to actually hold a physical meeting in Atlanta where we can hug each other, have high fives, kiss each other, all these things that we just missed, the physical presence, the camaraderie that unfortunately is not there with a virtual meeting. And the 2022 is going to be in ACOP in Ottawa, in Ontario, in Canada. In 2023, and the ASB will be in Knoxville. You probably are seeing like something like a shift towards actually a year later in terms of all these meetings. So this is our lineup for the next 3 years. Next slide, please. And with this, I want to thank everybody who attended the meeting. I want to thank everybody that helped organize the meeting, all the people in the executive board for their extremely hard work this last year. and all of you for attending the meeting. Thank you so much. ASB is strong, is stronger than ever. Thank you very much. And have a good night, I think.